I'm a badass cowboy living in the cowboy's day. Wiki wiki wah bam bam bang bang. Me and Cloud and Miss Cloud Frog gonna save Selma Hayek from the big ass spider. Big wiki wah bang bang. Fresh cowboy from the west side. There's a whole episode where Cartman is just like super into Wild Wild West for some reason, and I'm not sure Trey Parker or Matt Stone really like the movie, but he did.
Every movie has fans. Welcome back, everybody, to The Weird, the Bad, and the Bloody, an exclusive show on the Nerdthusiast YouTube channel where I, Nick,
and me, Nathan,
talk about the weirdest, baddest, and bloodiest movies of the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, because let me tell you, there were a lot of those in each decade.
Some would say too many, we'd say not enough.
Yeah, but today we are saying enough is enough because, we just watched Wild Wild West, everybody. Our last spin wheel landed right on the 90s and thus gifted us with the ability to watch this movie as well. Although it's not streaming anywhere, unfortunately.
Not streaming. You have to rent this one.
We had our ways.
This movie stars Will Smith,
Kevin Kline, Kenneth Branagh, who would go on to be Gilderoy Lockhart in Harry Potter 2. And the very same year would narrate Walking with Dinosaurs for BBC.
Did he do Walking with Dinosaurs or did like Prehistoric Beasts?
He did both.
Oh, he did both. Okay,
Yeah.
Okay, so Kenneth Branagh would do both of those. And in this one, he plays a deranged Southern half man. Who happens to be super into steampunk.
Do you think the steampunk community likes this movie?
They must love this movie. I do want to say, if you're a steampunk enthusiast, please let us know how you feel about Wild Wild West. I'm actually very interested. Is it like the steampunk community's wet dream?
I think it's their guilty pleasure.
It must be. And, we don't mean to disparage the steampunk community. Whatever you want to do, you want to do. We don't give a shit. Like, we think it's cool regardless. We just feel like he is steampunk before steampunk is a thing.
It's based on a TV show.
It is.
Yeah.
We did
Loosely.
I did find that out. I actually went and watched a couple episodes last night as well of Wild Wild West.
Okay.
Actually kind of interested. They don't have as many crazy gadgets and gizmos as the movie would lead you to believe, but they have some.
This is kind of like what they did with Green Hornet. Right?
Oh, yeah.
With Seth Rogen and Jay Chow, where they just like, hey, let's take this property, but let's make it like, let's update it for modern times, but no.
Oh.
But maybe we're just kind of winging it.
Yeah, maybe like that Get Smart movie.
Get Smart definitely is also a good example.
Do you know when the original show was?
When it was the 60s.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the 30-year cycle continues. 30 years later, all the people that grew up watching the Wild Wild West TV show would be interested in a movie redo with Will Smith.
Can you imagine like all those people going to the theater excited for their Wild Wild West movie finally? They're all like really old people. And then the first scene is just like a black man.
He's
and they all
black!
just sorry. It's just
We
like, we want our money back.
And we listen, that's fucked up to say, but we do want to say there's some real close calls in this movie. Westerns are so uniquely American. They're very uniquely American movies. I mean, there's no other country that has anything close, even though they were all shot. This definitely feels some spaghetti Western a little bit in this one as well.
This is like a parody of a parody.
Yeah.
This is on par with one of those like Friedberg and Seltzer movies,
Oh,
like Disaster movie or something. Like in terms of its very flat humor and it's just really constant attempts at humor.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Although this money looks visually impressive as shit.
Oh no,
which is what breaks my heart even more about it.
There's a lot of money. There's a lot of money put into this.
They sunk so much into this.
Yeah,
almost $200 million.
Yeah, there's a hierarchy. I forget what it is about like how each genre goes through. There's like experimentation is the first one. Then it's like perfection. Then it's like gets stale, and people end up doing parody and then experimentation. I can't sit here and say it's a good movie. I mean, it's 99. Like Back to the Future did 3. 9 years previously did the Wild West, right? And that was kind of a parody of Wild West stuff. Mm-hmm. Of those 1895, like there's the shootout in the street. There's like they had done all this stuff and there's parody. And then this movie is, I think, just like a normal Seems like it's just like a shitty, fun sci-fi movie dressed in Wild West clothing.
I guess, yeah.
It's like, when you go to like, tourist places and they have that Wild Wild West dress up thing where you can take photos at, it's like they took the movie there and dressed it up.
But the person who organized it was really into steampunk. This is a time where Will Smith owned the 4th of July, basically.
Oh,
because
the
Independence
90s.
Day came out, then followed by Men in Black, both box office smashes.
Yeah.
Eventually, this would attempt to come out like before July 4th.
Okay.
Like, so Will Smith was having summer after summer after summer of success. His movies were making big money. He
All
was
stemming from the Fresh Prince.
Yeah, he was shot to stardom, basically. And both those movies were science fiction, so this
Yeah.
was his hand at, like, I'm just going to take my comedic, fun, charming bit. Let's try something crazy outlandish. He got, like, Barry Sonnenfeld back from Men in Black.
He directed Men in Black.
Yes.
And also the Addams Family, correct? Addams Family, Barry Sonnenfeld did that one.
Yes, he did. An accomplished cinematographer turned director. You can really tell from his movies because he has very beautiful looking movies, even though some of them aren't as great as you think they are. But it's kind of like the equivalent of Thor Ragnarok. And by that, I mean, Thor Ragnarok was so popular that they tried to make a Men in Black movie with Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson a couple years later.
Oh, yeah.
And it failed completely. That's kind of, ironically, that's kind of what this happened to this. They killed it with Men in Black.
Yeah.
And then they decided to...
Had the second one come out yet?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, they probably did the second one because this did so poorly.
Panic.
They did Men in Black together, Barry Sonnenfeld and Will Smith, and they're like, we can do no wrong. Let's do whatever the fuck we want. Hence why Warner Brothers was like, here, take our money.
Yeah.
Make something fun. Make us a blockbuster. And that came out with this. And it was just all the biggest... This whole movie is one big miscalculation, honestly. They have no chemistry, Will Smith and Kevin Kline. They are just not good together in this. Like, as much as everyone is trying in this is directed so cringy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. The performance-wise, especially from Kenneth Branagh, just kind of overdoing it.
He's really the only good thing in the movie. He's overdoing
He's kind of
it.
the only watchable thing in it.
Yeah.
But even then, he gets on my nerves a lot of the time. Kevin Kline, how do you have Kevin Kline in a movie? A Wild West parody movie, and he's just
flat.
and he's just not funny.
He's very flat.
Silverado is awesome.
Yeah.
And he's awesome in it. And it's just like, how do you fuck that up? Because he's just this dweeb. He's just this like kind of like Fraser Crane kind of dweeb in the movie with gadgets and gizmos, and he's just kind of like full of himself.
It's like his journey is going to be talking to Selma Hayek. Like his personal story is getting more confident with women. That's how it's supposed to be.
And
set
also
up.
to just use a gun.
And it's not. It doesn't happen, and it does. So there's like no character real development for him. I mean, Will Smith's character is just Will Smith. Right, like he's just the badass.
He's just Agent J.
Shoot. That's
He's
him.
just Agent J again.
Yeah,
basically.
He
Hence
doesn't really
Barry Sonnenfeld.
He doesn't really have a journey in this, and so it's got to be Kevin Kline that's supposed to have one, and he doesn't either.
No,
they both kind of just stay the same by the end of the movie, and then it just happens to work out.
And by that, they just still hate each other by the end of the movie, because throughout the movie they just play an asshole to each other throughout, which could be funny.
Yeah,
if you had development.
Yeah,
but there isn't. You just feel like by the end, when they're riding off into the sunset on a giant spider, they just still hate each other.
Selma Hayek.
What about her? She's just kind of there.
Yeah. No tequila foot shit this time, but
when she was dancing for Ted Levine at the beginning of the movie, I was what if she started doing the From Dusk Till Dawn
Give me the
dance?
tequila.
Give me the fucking snake. Where's Tito and Tarantula? Come on, let's get this show on the road, man.
Yeah, Selma Hayek is kind of flat too. I mean, she's
there to look gorgeous.
Her character is into Will Smith, and that's it. She's
not even though.
Yeah,
she's got an angle basically throughout the movie, but she is just like the DID basically.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. She feels flat too, unfortunately.
Yeah, there's who is very well cast in this. is Ted Levine.
Ted Levine does really well.
As the fucking former Confederate general.
We lost the war.
Where's the Raptor Wrangler?
That's he's man.
He's dinosaur teeth.
He's really just Buffalo Bill in every role.
He's great. I do really like him in this, even though he's disgusting.
He's the grossest fucking looking dude.
He's got like, I don't know. He's got earbloods mixed with earwax, like pouring out of his fucking. I
guess he lost
funnel.
his ear and he's stuck like a steampunk, like what is it called? The
funnel or something? No, it's like a hearing device.
It's like not a sonogram. A phonograph. It's like a phonograph little trumpet on his ear, and then like it leaks.
Interesting character design. Like again, this movie is extremely well produced.
Yeah,
extremely.
It looks really good.
I think it was Roger Ebert who said this movie is like watching money burn on screen because again, like there's some impressive looking visual style to it. There's some wonderful shots, some like really ambitious cinematography. They poured their heart and soul obviously into the production design and the costumes and just all around like CGI and everything. Because Men in Black did that, and Men in Black killed it. So they were like, let's recreate that success, but with this.
Maybe we're missing Tommy Lee Jones.
With a script that Tommy Lee Jones should have been the general.
Tommy Lee Jones should have been the bad guy in this, yeah. Tommy Lee Jones could have been the villain. I think he should have been the villain in this.
He probably said no to this so he could do U.S. Marshals.
Yeah, that's probably it, yeah.
I want to beat the shit out of Wesley Snipes in a movie instead of beat the shit out of Will Smith. We see this a lot in Hollywood. The people trying to capture lightning in a bottle again, essentially, with a dynamic duo or a creative team that killed so well. And then they were offered a blank check to recreate that success no matter what. The only problem is the script they got that had like, what, 5 or 6 screenwriters on this movie has like so many screenwriters too. It's like, man, I don't know if they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, this happens. Nick's right. This happens a lot. Capitalism breeds innovation. And essentially, every time there's a big movie, everyone just tries to do it again.
Can we talk about the editing in this movie?
Go ahead.
Like, it really does feel like they shot this to be more of like a longer 2+ hour epic, but it's cut down to an hour 45.
Yeah.
And you can really tell because the opening in this movie is so baffling to me because it's this guy running for his life from one of those, things that was
homing saw blades, we'll call it.
That was parodied in Chicken Little, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
It's a guy running for his life from the honing saw blade, and you can just hear this ADR from him going like basically like yelling all these things that'll come into effect later in the movie, so we're not confused or something.
Yeah.
And then boom, loses his head. Ted Levine just standing over him does a Marx Brothers bit and goes, I thought you scientists were supposed to be smart. Boom, opening Cowboy Bebop credits all of a sudden.
So those credits, I do want to say those credits are exactly like the credits in the TV show, the opening credits in the TV show. I watched it. They have like the little colored frames around it, and they all kind of interact with each other.
Wow,
it's
very.
But when I first saw it, before I'd seen the show, I was like very spaghetti western as well. It feels very like that, but I agree.
And then we're just thrust into the middle of like already like the second act, basically. You know what I mean? This is what it feels like because it's just an action scene. All of a sudden, Will Smith is doing his thing. Kevin Kline, dressed in drag, is doing his thing.
Yeah.
We know who neither of them are. We don't understand what's really going on. We're kind of have to like fill in the gaps like as it goes along. But it really feels like I think we're missing something. This opening scene should have come before the opening credits.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden it just ends with the saloon exploding and then it just fades to black. It's just like, now we're going to introduce our characters. I'm like, what the hell's going on? This editing is really random.
It feels like it's like kind of one of the TV shows, right? Where it's like we already know the characters and stuff like that, so we can jump in the middle of an adventure.
Who the fuck knew what Wild Wild West was back then? Not a whole lot of people, though, right?
But I'm assuming people that, grew up watching the show knew what Wild Wild West was. But the thing is, like, in TV shows, you can start in the middle of things because we know the characters a little bit already. And after like first season, if you get a second season, you can do more of that because we know these characters by now.
This is a movie, though.
This
is a full-ass movie that only is very loosely based on the show that is not as well known as other shows. And it just kind of... You remember when You remember when the scientist just kind of drops the dinosaurs in New York?
Yeah.
And we're back.
Yeah.
He's just like, all right, good luck, bye. Ah! With the parachutes on. That's kind of what it felt like just kind of starting this movie. It's just like, I don't know what's happening. This is moving so fast for me. Like, what is going on?
This is moving too fast for me.
Ted Levine's just barking like a dog all of a sudden. I'm just like, what the fuck is going on?
Oh, precious. Sorry. Every Ted Levine is just
Your Ted Levine is Buffalo Bill. Mine is like, I want those dinosaur teeth.
Donald, I don't have your teeth yet.
Where were you on the island?
Oh, God.
Do you know he's in the first Fast and Furious?
No, I didn't.
He plays Paul Walker's boss in that. He's like a cop. Yeah, because Paul Walker's a cop. He's like his superior in that.
Or are you
just like
trying to find a family?
I just remember seeing the first movie. I was like, wow, this is weird seeing him play not a bad guy, because he always plays bad guys.
What would be the weirdest movie for him to turn up in?
He would be like the kindly janitor in like a teen movie or something.
You gotta tell her you love her.
By the way, he's just, they remake Breakfast Club. It's him like, by the way, that clock's 3 hours fast. Yeah. And then Gary Busey's the principal. He's like, don't mess with the bull, young man. You'll get the horns.
That's real.
And another part about the editing is just like, okay, all of a sudden, like the president takes these two guys. One's a U.S. Marshal, Kevin Kline. The other is like, what is he?
Army.
He's
Army.
He's just the Army, I guess. I don't know. He's so badass, he represents the Army, I guess.
He's the Army, yeah.
And he says, go find the scientists that Kenneth Branagh has apparently been kidnapping. And then he's like, okay, go get on this train. And then all of a sudden, Will Smith is like trying to get on the train, but Kevin Kline is just not letting him on. I'm just like, what happened? Did he make it to I guess he just made it to the train before him.
Guess he didn't make it.
And it's just, this random editing is just throwing me off. This train, this very funny train that just has like all these like gadgets and gizmos and contraptions on it.
It's the fucking train from Back to the Future Part 3. It's the end where Doc makes it fly, and he's like, "I'm gonna take this train."
Doc, Marty.
It runs off steam. My children, Jules and Vern.
Jules and Vern.
Should they make a Back to the Future Part 4?
How?
I don't even know.
Michael J. Fox, he can't do much anymore.
I know.
I really don't think they should, because I'm afraid of what you'll do if they do.
I mean,
would you rather they made a 4 or remake it?
I'd rather they make a 4. I'd rather they requel the whole thing. Requel. Do not touch, like, just acknowledge you can't capture the fire and just try to do something else.
Every single time there is an attempt at a laugh or a comedy bit, it falls completely flat.
Yeah.
I was barely laughing in this movie.
And the problem is, like, some of this is okay. Some of this is fun action, but when scenes like drag, they fucking drag it.
And a lot of the action scenes rely on some comedic thing to happen too.
Yeah.
Like when they're stuck to each other because of the
magnets,
things that they have on their necks. Yeah. And it's just like, this is going on for a while.
You know what else went on for a while? Will Smith dressing up as that girl.
And that's supposed to be a payoff of like, because Kevin Kline is like, well, you need to dress up as something. He's just like, I don't dress up as anything. I'm just going to go in guns blazing and whatnot. And so eventually later he's like, I'm going to dress in drag and seduce Kenneth Branagh. I agree. That goes on forever.
You know what else goes on forever? Touch my boob.
Cringe. It's all cringy. It's just
so long.
None of the beats work, especially because these two aren't very funny together.
No,
they're funny separately in other stuff. And Will Smith in this, you see his ball sack in this movie at one point. You remember when he falls out of the water tower and he stands up? I'm just like, I think you saw it right there.
I think we saw his scrotum. Show balls.
There's 2 funny moments that I can think of that stand out. It's when he breaks into Kenneth Branagh's place.
Yeah.
And he's walking through this big hall with these really random paintings on the wall, and he just looks at it and he goes, white folks.
Yeah.
That was funny. It was not forced.
Yes.
It was organic. It felt earned. It felt like that's a real genuine Will Smith moment. You'd see that in any Will Smith movie.
Sure.
You know? That like, and that fits kind of like what the period of the movie is essentially. Yep. The only other time I did laugh was Will Smith sometimes giving what seemed like very funny improv, where he's just like, where Kenneth Branagh's got this harem of like harlot assassins with him. Yeah. And one of them's just got Will Smith at gunpoint, and Will Smith is just like, I actually got a telegram from Arliss Lovelace's mother. She says to come on home and stop all the fools. It was like, that was funny. Like, she shoots him. That's kind of funny too. But like, those actually got chuckles out of me.
That's like pure Agent J. That's Agent J. Like that's the Agent J humor we're missing.
It's raining black people in New York. As a comedy, first, it's unfortunately extremely unfunny. What I have written down is it's too well made to be not taken seriously, and it's never funny enough to be considered so bad it's good. It's just cringy.
Yeah. It's supposed to be comedy, Western, sci-fi, I think. Or mix sci-fi and Western together.
Yeah, but it's like when they beamed the creature back up to the ship in Galaxy Quest, and it was just like this hideous, deformed thing.
God. Yeah.
Jesus Christ, kill it.
Yeah, this is not... this is unfortunately kind of just falls flat. Phantom Menace is in theaters at the same time. Phantom Menace was the end of May or mid-May. This is the end of June. Right after July, we have Sixth Sense.
Okay.
August. Matrix is already out. It's March 31st. Also importantly, The Sopranos had premiered by this time. Sopranos is going on. You know what would come out right? You know what would come out right after this as well? Blair Witch. Blair Witch comes out July 14th. And you know what? I'll give you one more.
Toy Story 2.
Toy Story 2 as well. That's also big. That comes out. This one you should know. Big 1999 blockbuster movie.
End of days.
99 blockbuster. Every millennial's favorite blockbuster.
Oh, God.
Egypt.
The print. What? Oh. No.
Yeah.
The Mummy?
The Mummy's 99.
It is?
It's 99. I'm looking at it.
Damn it. I'm so ashamed.
May 7th, 1999. The Mummy is out in theaters at the same time as Wild Wild West.
That did good.
So Wild Wild West actually ends up being like 14th.
It was considered a flop, though.
It's considered a flop.
Yeah. What, $170 million or something?
Something like that, yeah. But those are some of the movies that are going on.
They did something with it.
Well, this is some of the movies that are going on at the time, 1999, to give you context. So same year as Phantom Menace, same year as Mummy. Same year as Analyze This, same year as Blair Witch. Imagine being all this money. All right, you spend all this money and you start getting blown out by a movie that had a camcorder and about $12 in change in the woods.
And was universally hated as much as it was acclaimed.
Yes. And they released it in theaters. Right, and not only did it earn more than you, it is way more well remembered than your movie. Blair Witch should be a study in film school of like how to do everything with absolutely nothing.
Aren't they rebooting it again?
Yeah.
They already did.
There was a sequel, Blair Witch 2016, not to be confused with Blair Witch Book of Shadows.
What do you want in Blumhouse's Blair Witch?
A witch?
You want them to just say fuck it and show the witch?
We have not seen the witch yet.
What was that thing in the 2016 movie? Was that not the witch?
I think it was one of the minions or something like that. I don't think it was actually the witch. Everyone's saying they're not sure what it was.
Someone out there, make an edit of that big like lanky thing in Blair Witch 2016, but with minion sound effects on it.
Same thing from the end of Alien Romulus, right?
Oh, that fucking thing?
Yeah, it looks similar.
All right, folks, this leads us to our awards section. We will now award the movie that we have just watched some sort of like worst or best kind of accolade or something like that. Something personal to us that we felt it really is deserving of. After you, sir.
I'm going to go ahead and present Wild Wild West with the award of most near misses to getting canceled I've ever seen in a movie. There's a lot of real close calls with the racism in this movie. There's some real close calls. Now, listen. Blazing Saddles just blatantly did it and didn't give a goddamn fuck. Like, they didn't care at all right? Blazing Saddles can get away with it because there's a gong ringing at the same time. Or
that movie is loved for that.
Yeah, as much as it is. This movie has some real close calls. Like in the beginning, and it wouldn't be so bad if they were able to do it like Blazing Saddles and have it be universally loved and, just kind of feel correct. I mean, Richard Pryor helped write Blazing Saddles, which is why a lot of this works. But this, man, there's some times I'm like, it's like, listen, I get Will Smith's black, but listen, like between the almost using the word and the hanging scene and then the everything about it, I go,
and when Kevin Kline tells him, you can go as my manservant.
Oh God. I was like, we are getting real close to getting canceled here. So, I mean, back then it wouldn't matter, but I'm going to go ahead and present this film with the award of close calls to getting canceled.
My award is going to be best bullshit science I've ever seen, and it's when they get the severed head to project an image of the last thing he saw before his head got cut off. I don't remember what review we were fucking doing where you were just like, this bullshit science the movie comes up with, I can't fucking deal with it right now, man. I think it might have been Morbius.
Well, it's just like, listen, there's bullshit science in everything, right? There's always an ex machina style of science, right? Just like in Spider-Man 2, how they have the inhibitor chip.
That's the fucking set. That was what you were complaining about.
Well, it's bullshit science. It's made up, but because the movie's so good and it just flows and it just seems to work, everyone just accepts it.
That was a full-fledged comic book movie, though.
But everyone accepts it. This
movie feels like, is this based on some sort of comic book or graphic novel? Because the way it looks and the way it's portrayed constantly gives off that feel.
Yeah, and again, we have to ask, nothing ever got done with that?
No.
Because it's like, remember, he's going to New Orleans. And then it's like, I know where he's going.
There's Ted Levine. We know Ted Levine is the one behind this. Let's go get him. Like,
where's he going? New Orleans. Okay, we're going to New Orleans. What the fuck was this all for?
It was so Will Smith could attempt
humor
and say,
that's a man's head
4 fucking times.
I know.
Over and over again. And I'm just like, it wasn't funny the first time. Why is he still trying to do this?
So
I don't.
So you're going to say best bullshit science or worst bullshit science you've ever seen?
Oh, no, that's the best.
This is the best.
Because I was just floored at this is ridiculous. Because so far, so many things in this movie is taking itself seriously because the humor is falling so flat. So I can't in good faith, call this a tongue-in-cheek movie because everything is just kind of dead air, honestly. So I'm just like, because the movie looks so good, because the movie has such a quality look to it, I'm just left with going, I guess I got to try to take some of it seriously.
What do we think, Nick? Is this weird, bad, or bloody? Your thoughts?
It should have been bloody with all the decapitations.
There's a lot of decapitations in this movie.
This is bad.
This is bad?
I didn't hate this. I've seen this before, but every time I have watched this, I'm just like, this feels like a waste of time. This feels like such an empty shell of a movie where it's like, remember when you were a kid, here's like, what's in the Wonder Ball? Here's your Wonder Ball. You open it up. There's a cockroach in there. It has weirdness to it, but the weirdness is constantly overshadowed by its really poor attempts at trying to be a comedy.
I'm going to cause problems for us editing later with the graphics. I'm going to go ahead and label this as 70% bad, 30% weird.
I ain't fucking doing that. You do that.
This.
I didn't know we could do that.
Well, I just introduced it now. This went nowhere. Cut to us dancing to the Wild Wild West song.
Buffalo soldier, look, it's like I told you. Any damsel that say distress,
be out of that dress when she meet Jim West.
So go check the law and abide. Watch your step.
None of this is in the movie. None of this is in the movie.
You don't want to see my hand with my hip.
This is mostly bad, but every so often there's a little bit of genuine fun and sci-fi in this, and for those moments I enjoy it. But most of this is just real shit. It's just overshadowed by the bad humor, the bad writing, the length of some of these scenes, and it just makes it feel like, man, maybe this should have stayed a TV show and never ever done it.
Together, me and Nathan have 2 spin wheels. One spin wheel will land on the decade that we will determine which movie we do next.
All right.
It will be either 80s, 90s, or 2000s. Go ahead and spin that shit.
Big money, no whammies. If we stay in the 90s, I'm going to lose it. We're going back to the 80s. And of course, you don't have any fucking 80s movies. We have to come up with our 80s movie list.
DJ, spin that shit.
All right, 80s, let's go. Big money, no whammies. Big money, no whammies. What are we going to watch? What's it going to be? Oh my God. It's Chud.
We will see you next time for, what's Chud stand for again?
Cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers. That's going to be we're going to be doing a weird one here instead of the bad.
Everybody, thank you so much for watching this episode of The Weird, the Bad, and the Bloody, where we love to bring to you the weirdest, baddest, and bloodiest movies of the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, exclusively found here on the Nerdthusiast YouTube channel.
But if you like us and like what we do and you want to check out our other podcast, you can check us out at 1.5 White Guys on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Spotify.
Can I ask you a question?
No.
Well,